morning, everyone. It's that time. We're getting ready to start on 1998 for the N64 Quest. This is probably the most prolific year in the whole lifespan of the system, so it's basically time's a waste and we get to get started on things. And it's weird to start off looking at the games that are really early on, actually, because a lot of the best games don't come out till the spring and summer, and then of course like Ocarina of Time and stuff comes out. I think October, November. So the end of the year. So there's still kind of a long way off because there's so many games. But what's up? So yeah, the first couple are kind of weird ones, kind of not the ones that you'd expect. So basically you got to start on Robotron 64. Robotron 64 first game that got released in 1998. Kind of an example of, you know, the N64 maybe getting the shaft a little bit, because this is actually a port of a game of basically a PlayStation version of this that came out 2 years earlier called Robotron X. Came out, I think it came out on PlayStation and computers and stuff. So it's kind of funny to me because you'd automatically assume that the PlayStation one was better, but realizing that it came out in 1996 means that it's not as if the PlayStation version has like DualShock support or anything like that that you would want to get out of a twin stick shooter that this game is. So even though the N64 only has one analog stick, it still actually plays about as well as the PS1 one, I assume. You have the option of utilizing the analog stick for whichever one you choose to use, whether you want to use it as your the stick that you use to walk or the stick that you want to use to shoot. You have that in the options menu, but I actually, at least to start out, until I really want to, you know, see if it works better for me, I actually am going to use it the same way as the PlayStation version, which involves just using the buttons. Because, I mean, it's not as if it's full 360. You don't get like that fine adjustment that you can make. You only get the option of, you know, 8 directions. But okay. You only get the option of 8 directions, so you either press one button to shoot directly that way, or you press 2 buttons to shoot in a diagonal. So yeah, the buttons work fine as they would on the PlayStation or on the N64. And like I said, you get the option to use it's tough because you gotta find the last enemy that's not those big green motherfuckers. Yeah, it's sort of a thing that you get to try out. I actually went to the options menu before I got started on this and went to see. It has control configurations. I was like, okay, what are the options? The only option that it presents you in the control setup is whether you want the control stick to be for walking or for shooting, because theoretically you'd be able to choose if you want to use the D-pad for walking or if you want to use the C buttons, because it's essentially what it is. You have a D-pad on either side of the controller, even though one of them is labeled C and is buttons instead of a pad. So yeah, you can see right here I'm using the C buttons to shoot, and it works pretty well. I have no complaints about it. I've been playing Binding of Isaac on the Switch, and I've been doing the same thing with it because like Binding of Isaac is also a twin stick shooter technically, but the thing about Binding of Isaac is it's not even eight ways. It's literally only shoots in the cross shape. So I ended up using the face buttons to shoot instead of the I use the face buttons to shoot in Binding of Isaac instead of the sticks because he only shoots in directions, the 4 cross directions, so it's not like I'm helping anything. Jesus Christ, that was a lot. I'm not helping anything in Binding of Isaac by putting directional or doing something with a slight angle. But yeah, so Robotron, the original Robotron 2084, as you might have imagined, is kind of the first real, Berserk is kind of like it too, but it's the first real example of like the twin stick shooter, which is a genre of games that I'm really a huge fan of. I love run and gun shooters, and the twin stick thing works so well. But Robotron is the one that I never really played before. I have more experience. I have some experience with Smash TV. That's the big one that probably most people know. But the one I actually played more than anything else is the sequel to Smash TV, Total Carnage, which is made by the same people, Mark Turmel and them. Big arcade midway people from the late 80s, early 90s. And this is the same, this is by Williams, so same idea, sort of. Like, Robotron pretty much set the example for Smash TV, which set the example for its own sequel, which was Total Carnage, pretty much. And I also love other, like, top-down run-and-gun shooters. I mean, I like the Commando-type shooter. Not Commando itself, but I love Shock Troopers on the Neo Geo. So just, like, this presentation to me is one of my favorite, things to see in a game. It's like, this is all I need. So the other thing about Robotron is that I don't have the best knowledge of the original game to know what to do and what not to do. It's actually kind of tough now that I'm looking at it. I can totally see. I saw that a lot of the criticism when this game came out wasn't okay. Yeah, those are bad things. A lot of the criticism that came out about this game towards this game was that it tries too hard to be 3D, which is what you can see going on with the plane moving around. Like, it's a plane in the middle of space. There's nothing surrounding it. That's kind of the idea. But the camera moves around as you move around, which isn't something obviously that happens in the original Robotron 2084. So a lot of people complain is like it's actually more disorienting than anything else. I can kind of see where that's coming from. I feel like if it was, I'll say right off the bat, I feel like if it was static and just stayed the way that it is when you start the game, I'd have a better idea of what the enemies, what things I was looking at in the field of play and everything. So that's just one thing. It's not a huge deal actually, because I don't think it's necessary to say, like, deride the whole game because it tries too hard. That's not a problem with me. Trying too hard is very rarely something I'll really, deride a game for, unless it's a certain type of trying too hard. Like, I realized as soon as I said that, like, NBA Playgrounds tries too hard because it doesn't want to be itself. It doesn't want to do anything different. I wrote a review on NBA Playgrounds, this game. A game to play on the Switch, and also on PS4 and everything else. NBA Playgrounds is my exception that proves the rule of trying too hard can't really hurt you that much, because I'd rather see you try too hard than be lazy about it. NBA Playgrounds tries too hard in the sense that it's taking a lot of influence from two very different arcade basketball games, NBA Street and NBA Jam, and trying to be both of those at the same time and not realizing that it can just be a new game. So it's just trying too hard in the wrong direction, that's all. I would also, I prefer that a game try too hard in this sort of genre of, Jesus Christ. fucking bees. Oh, it's like Galaga. It's like we threw me into a Galaga level. Robotron, I'll say Robotron X itself was probably one of the first examples in the late 90s trend of starting to make these old arcade reboots for consoles and stuff. It would happen even more on the PlayStation than it would on N64. N64 would get a couple of its own. But, damn, alright. Was there an end to that level, or was that just a score attack thing? That's what I'm wondering. Huh, I got a lot of them. Yeah, so Robotron X would be, because it was on the PlayStation first, and like I said, it happened a lot more on the PlayStation, because it was, you know, something that people felt like they could make a quick buck on. And, like, a lot of those games, unlike Robotron, well, I mean, Robotron, I'll admit, didn't make that much difference from the original game. If you look at it side by side, it really is just an update of the basic example of the original game. But on the 64, for example, we got Space Invaders. We got Asteroids Hyper 64, which I'm not sure if it's that much different from the Asteroids that's on PS1 and PC. Because I never played the PS1 version. Some other ones that I know happened on PS1, either because I played them, I have them, or I've seen them so much. There was a Galaga called Destinations of Earth. I don't even know if Namco did that, to be honest with you. There was like I said, the Galaga game, there's Breakout, there's Centipede, Asteroids, Missile Command, all these games, whether it's Atari just doing their usual scrounging for dough, or, you know, Space Invaders obviously not part of that, Galaga possibly not part of that, depending on who made it. But whether they made them themselves or just, you know, made money off the licenses, I'm not sure, but it was really, really common. And Pong, that was the big one. Because I actually own that one. Pong: The Next Level, which is about literally what it sounds like, but it's not. You know, it's not that bad, because Pong's a lot more exhausting in its original form than it is in any other form. So, Asteroids is playable. Like Pong is the only one out of those games that'll really be like, yeah, that game is just exhausting to play, like an original game of Pong. One of the many old school forms of Pong that came out over the years. Like, I appreciate Pong and everything, but it's exhausting. That's the best way I can describe it. Like, have you ever tried to play a full game of Pong at this point in your life? You can't do it. You get like 4 points in and you're just like, alright, I'm tired of this. But Pong: The Next Level is pretty cool because, you know, it gives, you know, interesting settings. It does, you know, all kinds of stuff with the paddles. It's still a very, like, basic game. Like, you know, I'm pretty sure it was a budget title, and I couldn't imagine it being anything else but a budget title when it came out, you know. But I appreciate Pong: The Next Level for being what it is. Land, motherfucker. There we go. So apparently in this game there's about 200 levels, 200 individual levels like this one. Whether that includes the bonus stages or not, I don't know. I would have to assume that it doesn't, because if the bonus stages happen every 20 levels, then mathematically that doesn't break down to having the bonus stages included in 200 levels. Because you'd have 190 levels and then 10 bonus levels. So 200 levels plus probably 10 bonus levels. And they're all just examples of the same thing, this thing right here that we're doing. Which is why there's not going to be a whole ton of videos on this one, because it's just going to be a lot of this. Not to say it's not exciting. It's very tense, you know. The best thing that talking is getting me through is not freaking out too much when, like, those yellow bastards won't land on the ground so I can shoot them and I'm just walking around. All things said, like, this is still just such a basic game. Like, it's so tough to make anything out of this at this point. Like, a lot of these early, like, basically first year and a half games are like this, you know? It's the same thing you know, you run into with Wheel of Fortune and stuff. Like, I can't say not to go out and buy this game, because I actually do enjoy it. But I also can't play that much for you and be like, yeah, you get all this thing, you get all of these things. This is really it. It does it, and it does it well enough at least that I enjoy this game, because it's still very much in the spirit of the original. So, you know, camera angles or not, Jesus. My biggest question really is, like, when does it save? When does it save my progress, if it does it after every level? Because there is save functionality in this, surprisingly, you know. Considering how many games, especially early on, especially arcade-style games, don't have save support at all, I'm genuinely surprised that this has any. So in case you couldn't suss it out from the 23, 24 levels I played. Oh, 28, Jesus. In the past 28 levels, the idea is that you move around this big square in the middle of nowhere in space. Oh, that's a power-up. I have not got one of those yet. Alright, I guess that's it for that. Okay. These big green dudes you can't kill, you can just push them away from you. There's little people walking around. They're not mandatory to save, but they're extra points, which is cool. So you save them if you can. The big epilepsy things, those can be destroyed, but they're bad if you touch them. They don't move. They don't really do anything. These are fake people, like the one that just killed me there. Don't touch those ones. If they spin around real fast and zip. What the was that a turret? What the fuck was that? Man, this level's kind of bullshit, huh? And then you got all kinds of robots, like these yellow ones that go up in the air and you can only shoot them when they're on the ground, which is actually really annoying because it throws off your whole rhythm. Apparently I can't kill that guy either. Wow! Oh my god, this is where I flounder out apparently. I believe actually that now that I think of it, the original version of I tried to get around this dude, like that absolutely kills me that these fucking yellow dudes, they're the worst because they'll swarm around you, right? But they'll swarm around you in the air, and if you try to go under them, they'll probably land. It's a big bucket of anxiety for you. So you try to go around it, and then there's other guys trying to, like, come down on the flanks. Like I was saying, I believe the original version of Robotron is in the Midway Arcade pack, the Volume 1 pack that we actually got on the N64, so I'll probably end up playing that as well. I think it is. I think it's on there. There is a Midway Greatest Hits pack for the 64 with. I know it has like Sinistar, it has like Tapper on it. But I don't remember the other games off the top of my head, so I think this is probably on it because it's Midway. This is one of Midway's big ones. I tried to go. I went under that guy because he was the only one there, so I could just move away, like, off to the side if he tried to come down on top of my head. Yay! Oh, okay, I can just save it. Just say save it. Alright. Cool. Do like 2 more levels for this one. Because I'll have done, what, like, 20% of the levels? Over 20%? It's a big chunk of a game, honestly, to take care of in half an hour. Nobody said it was a long game. I certainly didn't. It's an arcade game with a set amount of levels, and it's about replayability, high scores, and the like. So they haven't lost that spirit of it, but it, you know, it's not like they tried to force a story mode into it. It's just about scores, and if you get to the end of the 200 levels. It's funny looking at even like the menus and stuff. Like I said, the options menu is literally, do you want the control stick to shoot or to walk? So you can determine how you hold the controller. Actually, in that sense, it's getting onto Nintendo's original intention for the controllers, that you can play symmetrically like that. Hold the control stick in your right hand if you so choose. So those things, those orange guys that spin around, they kind of dive on me. Those are freaking me out because you only get so much time to do it. And to realize if they come out of a pack like that, that's the really annoying thing about them. They come at you in a pack, or they come like below the pack of big yellow ones. These blue guys, I guess, they're like shamblers, but they shoot shit out at you, which is the worst, honestly. Because you can only see it so well. They've got that like epileptic flashy thing going on. Like the squares, the random squares in the middle of the level do. Alright. That's 35 levels of Robotron. I think that's satisfactory. That's the whole dealio right there, pretty much. I'll be back for another video of this, but it's just a bunch of that. That's what it is, and it's fun. It's a good time. So you know, just don't think I'm holding back on you, because that really is the whole thing. There's a 2-player mode. That's it. But that's, yeah. More of that on the way sometime this week. And that'll be it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.